Days.
Welcome back. Thank you for your company this morning. Well, finding out that your partner has cheated on you breaks your heart, but you often still have to carry on with life. A powerful example of that is Emma Thompson in Love Actually, when she finds out, this scene still breaks my heart, that the necklace her husband bought wasn't for her.
Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions that I recall.
I can't watch it still. And as we recently heard in the Showbiz File, for that scene, Emma actually drew on her real-life experience with her former husband who cheated on her. So clearly an affair affects you even years later. Let's get more on this interesting topic from psychotherapist and counsellor Melissa Ferrari. Also, I still get tears watching that. Can you ever recover after an affair? And is there a black and white rule, or are all couples different?
Couples can recover, but what needs to happen is the person that's actually being the betrayer needs to be able to buy into the fact that they're going to have to accept all the anger and the rage and the difficulty their partner's experiencing with all the questions that need to be asked. So the partner needs to be able to tolerate that and so the couple can move on.
Shouldn't you just walk away, though, from someone who's cheated and broken your heart?
Well, I think, Jess, that is probably what people think you should do. But the problem about it is relationships too important. And so quite often we've invested so much into a relationship. It's our safety, it's our security. And so sometimes things happen to disrupt it. And so people do want to repair. And many people I work with are successful at it.
How, though, do you build your self-esteem and sense of self if you have been betrayed in such a terrible way?
Well, it's a big blow because the brain actually processes it as a trauma. If you've actually ever sat with somebody who's experienced an infidelity, they will have things like depression, anxiety, not sleeping, obsessive thoughts, ruminating. And what they're trying to do, their brain's trying to recalibrate it all and make sense of what's happened. And so it can be really, really difficult to move on. But when you're with someone, particularly a therapist, who can help you work through that trauma and understand quite often it wasn't about you, fundamentally it was something about the relationship, you can move on.
It is, I mean, it's the worst thing in the world, and I have very little tolerance for it, but I have seen couples come back from it, and it's extraordinary to watch. But once someone has done that, though, I would struggle to trust them again. And so how do you do that? How do you trust the person again who says, sorry, honey, I'll never do it again, I'm just going out for a night with the boys, or I'm just having a shower before I go to the gym? Or how do you then trust people even if you move on to another relationship? How do you trust them?
Well, what's interesting, often when an infidelity happens, it's about trust originally. There could have been some insecurity in the relationship already. And so this can be a great opportunity to say what was wrong in the first place to cause this to happen.
I only cheated on you because you didn't trust me, baby.
Yeah, no, it can often be, trust can be things about money. It can be about something that's happened, you know, a partner spends too much money. There can be a trust issue there already. And so then something gets replayed in the relationship. And so it's really saying, hey, we need to look at this, be able to repair it with someone skillful. I never advise doing it alone. You need to do it with a good therapist. Yeah.
But, darling, you know, I think once the trust is broken, it's gone. But do you think, like punishment, they should be in the doghouse for doing it in the first place for a while?
I do, for a little while. I think for a limited amount of time, they do need to spend some time to just be there and repair that trust. And so that term being in the doghouse may need to happen.
But you see,
for
you know what my
time.
doghouse would be?
What?
I get the house, I get the gate.
Oh, my
Well, Sophie, personality traits. There are some people that you would say are the cheaters. There are other people that are incredibly loyal that would never cheat. and then say, oh, there's something wrong in the relationship. Can you have personality traits that makes you more susceptible to cheating?
Absolutely. There's personality, disorders that can cause people to be a person that might cheat more, and that's true. But I also think we can all be vulnerable to it because it can often be about self-esteem, wanting to feel better about ourselves, and so anybody is vulnerable really to this happening. I have seen people that have said, I never ever thought I would be sitting here in this position as the betrayer.
Can I say that personality disorder, it sounds a little bit like a cop-out, doesn't it? It's
Well, it does, Joe, but I think when you're dealing with psychological issues, many things can sound like a cop-out, and we can decide to forgive and move on. And it's not for everybody, and some people absolutely need to leave, particularly if it's abusive. Well, then that's an out. That's an out always.
So your advice is often to have a third person involved. What do couples need to do on both sides of this to rebuild the relationship?
Well, there really needs to be that process. First of all, something has to be acknowledged here, that this is traumatic and that it has happened. So the person that's betrayed needs to say, I really know I've done wrong, not try and avoid it or anything like that. Sit there, take the feelings, the rage that's going to come from your partner, the questions, because that's the brain trying to make sense of stuff. And so it's a very, very important process, and then move on to enjoy a new relationship if things go well.
And you just have to learn then to let it go.
You can learn to let it go. Be aware that your partner might revisit it now and then, but it does need to get to a point where that's not happening anymore.
So let's quickly look through your points again to deal with infidelity. Can create symptoms like post-traumatic stress, as in that's the person that's been cheated on,
That's
and
right.
they need to acknowledge that. Cheating partner needs to be remorseful and regretful, own up to the mistake.
Yep.
They need to be prepared to be in the doghouse.
Yeah.
As Carlotta said, just take the gate, you get the house. And also the cheating partner experiences the trauma as well. That's an interesting point. What do you mean by that?
Because
I wouldn't want to be doing that, sorry.
Yeah.
But do you mean that they understand the trauma they've caused?
They understand their trauma.
Or do you mean, sorry, baby, I had to cheat on you because I'm so deep and personal and emotional?
No,
and...
Joe.
No.
What it means is, it means that I am aware of what I've done.
Yeah.
I've created this trauma, but also I now risk losing the relationship. And so that's traumatic for that person as well. Although they did it, and if they are genuinely regretful and remorseful, their threat, because trauma is about threat, is that they may lose this relationship.
Oh, you're too patient. I wouldn't be patient.
Yeah, I'd say a
Melissa,
nice
thank
warm
you
bowl
very
will serve you
much.
right.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you. Up soon this morning, how the Ted Mulry gang